up. Can you grab this box for me?
Grab this box?
Yeah, just set it right here. Get this a little bit higher. Yeah, that's good. Wait for some people. Wait for this to catch up a little bit. What's going on, ODQ? Right, get the Christmas tree in the background. 1000 BCC. There goes my battery. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Alan? Jay Nagas, Joey Alfano. What's going on, fellas? Crypto Dance. Angel Saleas. Romel Boko. Yeah, so this is my brother's house. This is my brother's tree. So they're getting some things ready. I'll give you guys a quick little tour of the dining room here. Just coming back from Canada. Got some football on the TV over here. But yeah, this is he's got a nice little spot here. You can see, oh, it's raining pretty bad outside. But there's a river and whatnot in the background out here. I don't know how well you guys can see that. But yeah, so give you guys a quick little tour. I'm gonna come on and give you guys some of my thoughts on the market. I've been kind of online looking at a bunch of different things. So, I mean, the big news obviously is the price surge with Bitcoin. I mean, hitting, I think I saw it at like 9,500 at one point. In some of the exchanges, I've noticed that if you take a look at Bitcoin's price in some of the foreign exchanges, it's much, much higher. Let's take a look into Bitcoin. I'm gonna bring this up for you guys. Just seen a huge surge here recently. Let's take a look at the markets. And then I'm gonna bring this up, okay. So this is Bitcoin's price. I'm gonna search this by price because we are seeing $12,000 Bitcoin in some exchanges, Poloniex to EMC. EMC is one that I'm gonna go over a little bit. It's been surging quite a bit. Do you advise me to invest on BitConnect, or is it too late? I think it's a sustainable platform at this point. I don't really see it going anywhere anytime soon, and I think that I see the coin is probably gonna, that's kind of the title of my video, is I think the coin is poised for another breakout. I could see 350 BCC here in the near future, especially with what we've seen lately with Bitcoin's price. And so that was kind of something I wanted to talk a little bit about, was that if you look at BitConnect, the price for the last 2 weeks has been at $300. It's been depending on if Bitcoin really takes a little bit of a surge, you see BitConnect come down just to kind of balance out the system, and that has enabled BitConnect to stay at about a $300 price point for the last 2 weeks or so, as we've been seeing a huge rise in Bitcoin's price. So depending on what Bitcoin does, could go up, could go down, but I think that what we've been seeing, or the history that we've been seeing, is that the price of the coin has tried to remain very stable, almost to stabilize like the lending wallet that you're getting, that you would be pulling your interest out of. There hasn't been as much opportunity to to cash in on different price points with huge swings in price with BitConnect's coin, as we've seen Bitcoin really just take off in value. I mean, we were seeing $310, or roughly about $310 BCC when Bitcoin was less than $8,000. So the price of the coin is kind of interesting to me. And typically in the past, when I've seen this happen, is during certain times you've seen the price of the coin really start to stabilize, and then depending, you'll see a little bit of fluctuations with Bitcoin's price. But then that's kind of, I think, when you see a new wave of adoption. Right now we're seeing a lot of people coming into Bitcoin, and I think that's the primary reason why we've seen a huge rise in price. So I'm kind of basing that on what we're seeing right now in Bitfinex. BitConnect. I'm going to show this to you guys. The #1 trading pair right now is Bitcoin to USD on BitConnect. Over 600 million in trading, about 45% of the market in that particular exchange. So it's just surpassed BitThumb. BitThumb's come down a little bit, but again, Bitcoin is the #1 pair being traded. Bitcoin's Cash still trading pretty heavily, along with Ethereum Classic. So there's a few other ones. This is one, this just a second ago was outpacing Bitcoin Cash, this Steinium coin. So I wanted to go into this a little bit because this is one that's been on the market actually for a while. I got into this coin a long time ago, but you can see, you know, it's way up. Just has had a huge surge today. It's traded in Bitfinex, Poloniex, Cryptopia, so it has a little bit of distribution. And there's, you can see here in the last seven days, we just saw a huge surge here just recently in the last day. And this is what we've seen as far as a big surge in the price here, where it's almost pretty much doubled. So this is an interesting one to take note of, as you know, we see the market cap has, you know, surpassed 100 million, 111 million. So it's really starting to come up quite a bit. But yeah, that's an interesting one to take note of. I'm at 30,000 in loans with BitConnect and earning over 300 per day. Yeah, my brother's at 20,000 now. He's doing about 200 a day. So I mean, it's a great platform to kind of have some stability in the crypto space, because as we've seen here, I mean, it's all over the place. It's volatile. It's you know, it's changes quite a bit, and I think what I'm trying to do mainly is trying to, first of all, document kind of what's going on in the market, and this kind of helps me because I can go back in my own videos and just kind of take a look at some of the trends now that we've been seeing in some of these videos, and you guys are welcome to take a look at some of my videos in the past and things like that if you want to kind of get a little bit of a perspective, at least what some of the bigger trending topics are in the crypto space. But it's a way to kind of like document what's going on right now in the market. Like we just saw a huge influx into Bitcoin Cash the last few days, you know, corresponding with a huge rise in the price. That was really kind of dominating the trading, and now everything's kind of shifted. Now everything's in Bitcoin. You're seeing pretty much every single altcoin is in the red. I'm gonna show that to you guys right here. So almost all of them are in double digits in the red. So when we compare this to Bitcoin, and we usually, and this is pretty common, you see a big rise in Bitcoin's price, and you see pretty much every single other altcoin in the down. You know, we see a few exceptions, EOS, Cardano, but everything has pretty much been a pretty big red day. Yeah, I think it's a great time to buy alts. I think the alt market is. I just transferred over a lot of money into BitConnect. Probably wasn't the best timing just because of the way that it's priced with Bitcoin, but the price to Bitcoin, like the price of the price that I was transferring over was like 0.32, whereas we were seeing 0.035 BCC coin. So let me show that to you guys here in a sec if I can bring this up. But the price of BitConnect has been trending down. Like it's saying here that it's down almost 7% today. So the price is diving as you're seeing Bitcoin really start to take off. And I'm going to bring this in so I can kind of give you guys a little bit of a better perspective here in the last 7 days. So okay, so right here, you know what we've got is, and this is kind of the stability and the thing I was talking about here, is really kind of where you're at. It's right at $300, pretty much the entire line, with a few exceptions, but it's been you know, remaining relatively safe, even as it's really starting to dip here. So this huge dip that we're seeing in the price is compared to Bitcoin. So it's worth, you know, essentially, you know, we had 0.36 BCC coin, and now, you know, it's dipped all the way down to like 0.032. So the price of BCC has really come down with these occasional flash crashes where you probably saw huge sell-offs in the exchange. The market is still predominantly dominated in the BCC exchange. So yeah, people pulling out to buy Bitcoin. But yeah, 94% of the volume still in the BCC exchange. So there's still there's a lot of new market pairs and whatnot in these different exchanges. It's just not really being heavily traded. You see in Livecoin, we're seeing almost 310 BCC price. So there are some a few different arbitrage opportunities. You get into some of the different altcoins, like this one, Livecoin BCC to Ethereum. If you really kind of know the market, you kind of know the conversions and things like that, you can take advantage of some of those arbitrage opportunities where you can buy and sell into like Ethereum or Doge or even Litecoin and some of these other exchanges, and you can make a pretty good a pretty good profit on the arbitrage opportunities. Whether or not there's enough orders there to really make it worth your while is kind of another thing. I mean, that was, I think, the thing that I was seeing is that I was doing that for a little bit, but there wasn't enough really on the order books to be able to move a whole lot of money around. And by the time you started moving money around, someone had already kind of swooped up some of those prices. What's going on, Rick Stone? I'm checking on the chat here a little bit. Everyone is dumping fiat. I appreciate that, Jeffrey. So now it's a time to boost BitConnect lending wallet. Is 200 a day a good amount? I think when you talk to people in the BitConnect community and when they're starting to kind of talk about BitConnect or some of these other platforms, they have certain levels that they kind of talk about. And so the $20,000 level is one of them. So at $20,000, you're making $200 a day, which is roughly about $73,000 a year. And for most people, that's more than most people make annually. And so the $20,000 level where you're making $200 a day, I think is really the starting point to get into BitConnect, where you're starting to really realize the power of the platform of being a source of financial freedom in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think that's kind of where I started when I basically was able to get to the $20,000 level, and I started to basically pull out $200 a day or whatnot, and I was able to actually realize some of those profits, and I could show people that I was making that kind of money. Because when you're in it for $100, $1,000, I mean, even $10,000, you're only making like $100 a day. For a lot of people, that's not really a whole lot to get excited about. When you start getting into a point where it's replacing your income, I think that's where people really start to get a lot more enthusiasm behind the platform and what it's able to what it's able to offer people that are investing. There's still a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, for the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of different things going on with the whole UK filing, and a lot of people that really weren't that were a little bit misinformed in the crypto space, that were taking some of these stories, because once that that story came out, it started getting pumped by a bunch of YouTubers really looking for views or kind of clickbait type things to get people, and that's currently, unfortunately it's how YouTube is really set up. I mean, you see guys like you see a lot of different YouTubers that are basically doing Bitcoin donations, where it's essentially flooding their comment section, where they're not really responding to comments or things like that. They're just, their whole what they want is they want as many comments in their YouTube videos as possible, and so the way to do that is to do free giveaways and things like that, and then to get more views on your page. The thing they're doing is providing like clickbait titles and whatnot, and unfortunately that's kind of what we're seeing right now in the crypto space, and hopefully we'll see that kind of start to weed itself out over time. I think that you're getting a few more YouTubers. I've been following several guys that seem to be really improving what they're doing, so I'm interested to see how things are going to move forward. I'm I'm doing a lot of traveling right now, but I still have the intention of opening an office somewhere, an international office where I can have a little bit more ability to do some more multimedia. I mean, I'm pretty basic right here, just with my Osmo, my phone, my laptop, traveling, and just trying to find a good Wi-Fi connection. So, and just kind of really bringing you very basic information of what I see as trending right now on the market in terms of price, volumes, different coins, and that sort of thing. And I think that's, I don't see a whole lot of people doing that, and so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on, because that's something that I can speak on for quite a while. And typically when I get together with people and I talk with other people in Bitcoin and in cryptocurrency and that sort of thing, that's the big thing we start talking about, is talk about the market. And a lot of times I can provide them some value, they can provide me some value, and so it's a great kind of exchange of ideas. Yeah, I hate those because there's no value added to the comment section, which is the best. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, with the following that Trevon James has right now, I mean, he's getting like thousands and thousands and thousands of comments, and I guarantee you he's not spending any time going through those comment sections. The whole reason he's doing it is for the YouTube analytics, and it's essentially a way to kind of game the system that YouTube has right now, where they're promoting, you know, videos, you know, with views, with comments, and that sort of thing, as you might expect. What's going on, Don Crypto? So, Bitcoin is the world's 30th largest currency. Market cap nears MasterCard's 171 billion. Yeah, the overall market cap is at 292 billion right now. As we've seen volumes really start to surge into Bitcoin, where Bitcoin has again really become the dominant currency being traded. Today on the European exchanges, Bitcoin was 190 bucks less than the U.S. markets. Yeah, I think you're going to see. I mean, it's a lot more expensive in some of the Asian markets where it's a little bit harder to come by, and there's still, you know, so much opportunity between the markets. There hasn't really there's been some people that have kind of set up arbitrage opportunities, different volatility software like balancing systems, where they are able to connect through an API to some of these different exchanges and find different price points in these exchanges, and basically use that as a trigger to send money back and forth to capitalize on different price points in the market. So that's one strategy. That's something I was kind of looking at setting up. It's not entirely that difficult to do. I think part of it is a little bit more on the technical side, making sure that you're connected to some of these exchanges and you're getting the right information, because you're not always getting the right information on CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is, you know, it's connecting with some of these different exchanges, but typically, like, if I go in and I'm seeing, you know, certain prices with a coin, maybe I see an opportunity, and I go into the exchange, and either it's not there anymore, or it was old data, or that's just not really where the market's at. So that's kind of where I see things. Ever hear of Ignima Catalyst? I haven't heard of that one. I really believe BitConnect is the start of a legitimate platform that will be a game changer for the world's common man. Yeah, I think you're seeing a little bit of a shift of power of, you know, away from the banks. I think this is one that's going to be, is really going to disrupt the financial markets. You're already starting to see that. You saw a lot of news come out just in the last day with Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan really backtracking on a lot of the statements that he was saying, because they were getting into cryptocurrency so heavily. You know, I think that it's interesting to see some of the the news that's coming out of these things, because it's you know, that was just less than a month ago that we saw all of this you know, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that was kind of hitting the market. Oops. Do you think the addition of Bitcoin futures will tank BTC? Some believe the big new money will not increase but decrease BTC's value. The futures market is more of one that's looking at things on a long-term basis, 3, 6, 12 months. So when I was doing electricity trading, we had we had traders that were trading real time. We had traders that were trading day ahead. We had traders that were also trading like futures markets, like 10, 20 years out. And those typically were the more prestigious or more respected trading positions, because there was a lot more information that kind of needed to be collected and sorted through to make educated decisions that were going to be beneficial for the company as a whole. So that is for sure a market that's going to be one that there's going to be a lot of opportunity in. You know, forecasting, what Bitcoin's price is going to be, a long term, and then essentially trading on those bets, in a sense, is going to be it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think I put out something, I think in one of my last videos, where I was like, if we see Bitcoin's price go up 1% every day, and 1% is really not that much. I mean, we just saw Bitcoin go up how much today? I mean, it does fluctuate quite a bit, but it's up 7% today. But if we see 1% rise in Bitcoin's price every day until the end of the year, we're going to see $12,400 Bitcoin by January 1st. That's the projections of of what I did when I had put that into the system. And so for a lot of people, that's considering we only saw $1,000 Bitcoin earlier this year. That was that's a huge jump, but not nearly as much as some of the altcoins that we've seen. We've seen a tremendous amount of growth in some of the alt currency markets, and a lot of that started in March, April of this year, and then you saw a lot of it, a lot of surge and adoption really happen in kind of May, June time frame. So yeah, the volumes just have really shot up. I mean, 2017, this has been just the huge year for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as a whole. It's really this is kind of where we've seen the adoption phase. It took, we had that huge bump for like a month or two in November, December of 2013. But I mean, just taking a look at, I'm going to bring this up a little bit just so we can see. I mean, this is like the volumes aren't even on the map right here back in 2013, but this is that little bump that we saw back where we saw $1,000 Bitcoin right in that November, December timeframe. It was a very low sustained period, but I mean, right now, since the beginning of this year, essentially, March, April, into May, and we'll take a look in just the last 3 months. I mean, the volumes have really come up, and we're just seeing a more sustained volume and activity in these markets. So let me check in. There's a few questions in the chat I wanted to go over. Do we need to pay taxes off the daily income in the BCC platform as we are paid in USD? So the USD is more of a placeholder. There's no way that you can actually pull out, fiat money out of the BitConnect platform, and so it's really a placeholder for purchasing BCC, their own coin. So you're not even purchasing Bitcoin at that point. So it's completely separate from Bitcoin, from fiat, and it's centralized in BitConnect and their coin. And I think that's part of the innovation of what it is that they're doing behind the scenes. So as far as like taxes and things go, I mean, we touched on this in one of our last meetings. They have some plans to roll out some documents. So I don't know how many people are familiar with Airbnb and their platform, but for the longest time they were kind of in the same boat where they weren't paying taxes, they weren't really disclosing a lot of that information. And then essentially what they ended up doing was giving a 1099 to a lot of the people, just basically documenting their income that they've had through the platform. And it sounds like BitConnect's going to do something similar. So they're going to give you a statement of some sort that gives you that's giving you an earnings in the platform that you can then choose to incorporate in your taxes or not, and that may depend on your geography, your tax stance or your tax obligation. So I'm interested in working with some more CPA, accountant types, and kind of getting a little bit more information on the rules and regulations behind that. I think there's a lot of people that have different opinions on what it is they're going to do. So a lot of obviously everyone is not going to want to pay the full amount of tax. You don't want to, you make all of this money, you're not going to want to pay all of this money in taxes. You're going to do whatever you can to minimize your tax obligation. And so a lot of people are, maybe having a certain stance on how they're going to handle that when, that time comes. I just, I think it's going to come down to, how is the government going to be able to track and kind of monitor some of these things? They're working with chain analysis to try to force Coinbase to give up a lot of their records and documentations so that they can essentially go after users for taxes, for tax revenue. There's so many other platforms, and are they going to be doing this with all of these other platforms? Are they going to be doing it on a large scale? I think initially what you're going to be seeing is you're going to be seeing them go after larger accounts, people that are moving huge amounts of money. That's, I think, what the main ones they're going to be after. If you're transacting under $1,000, which is typically what I recommend, I don't think you're really going to show up on their radar. So that's for most people that have Coinbase accounts that are in different exchanges and things like that. That's what I recommend, is that don't transact over $1,000. You can do like $950 like every day, and for a lot of people that's more than enough. And yeah, I do live on crypto. I saw that question kind of popped up. So my main source of income is through cryptocurrency, and I travel the world, and I'm currently in Linwood, Washington. So I came back down from Vancouver here at my brother's house, and I'm leaving tomorrow for Santa Clara to go down to the blockchain event. So I'll be meeting, sounds like a few of you guys that are going to be coming down to that event. So I'll be down there for probably a week or so. I think I'm going to be traveling a little bit in California, maybe over to Modesto, down to LA area, before I head back over to Asia. Lucian also lives on crypto. Feels good. When I grow up, I want to be like you, Clover. Nothing over 1,000. Pull out $999.99. Yeah. That would be my recommendation for you guys. Don't transact more than $1,000. I've had a few buddies of mine that tried to do like $8,000 or $10,000, and we're having issues with Coinbase or holdups in the system, and I was just like, that would be my recommendation. It's just to be on the safe side. I would keep everything under $1,000 transactions. If you're trying to do larger transactions or whatnot, that's really, I think, where you're gonna wind up on some of these entities' radar. A few sources have reported IRS is looking at $20,000 accounts via Coinbase, but once they open that door, innocent until proven guilty is a naive thing in today's world. Thanks for that, Robert. What happens in the Philippines stays in the Philippines. Is this your favorite song to listen to? I want to come up with a little bit more background music. I got my DJ here. Want to say hi?
Hi.
He's on my brother's phone, playing a couple of songs. I think once I'm actually working with a guy in California. I want to work with him to do a little bit more music for my videos. So the big problem I run into is copyrights. So this is a non-copyright song, and so I can play it without having to worry about my stream coming down, and just gives a little background music. So something I'm trying to incorporate. Patriot Act is old news, and that is red flags moving fiat in large chunks. Yeah, I mean, I would just, as a general recommendation, try to keep as much of your money in crypto, and only pull out the little bit that you need for fiat. So I've actually been spending a lot in fiat lately, as Bitcoin's been rising. So I've been kind of loading up some of my credit cards. I can pay those down a little bit by selling some Bitcoin to Coinbase. But I think we're going to see $10,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. Just the way things are trending, the way things are moving. I just so the longer you can hold on to your cryptocurrency assets and then sell out when they're worth a little bit more, is going to be better. So that's essentially kind of my strategy that I've had. It's easier just to pay the tax. Yeah, I mean, if there's a very solid stance that the U.S. government is taking on how they're going to be treating these, and essentially, if you don't claim this income or some of these different things, and we're gonna come after you. I mean, those are the things I need to talk to accountants about, to basically see if what my tax obligation is going to be. And I'm going to make sure, I want to be able to sleep well at night, so I'm going to pay my fair share of taxes. But I think the thing that we're seeing is that it's such a new phenomenon here, and we haven't seen a whole lot of people really. I've just seen different stories on both sides, so I don't think really anyone understands what the true rules are behind that, and it's going to be a huge issue moving forward. But I think it's going to be something, just set some money aside. It'll be something we'll deal with in around tax season. But right now, I think the big thing is just try to make money in crypto. Have you been talked to Glenn lately? Why does he not do videos anymore? I'm gonna see him down in California, so I'll talk to him. I told him last time, he really needs to be doing more videos. He's trying to do a little bit more like lifestyle videos now. So he's got he's hired a full-time videographer to follow him around and videotape him, and he's really good at making videos. He's done videos for French Montana, a few other rap artists or musicians. So he has a little bit of a following. I think he's got 19,000 followers or so on Instagram, and that's kind of his main platform that he promotes. So I think you're going to see Glenn kind of move more into that direction. I don't know how much he's really going to be doing, as far as putting himself out there with videos and whatnot. I don't know. I can't really speak for him, but he's very new to the cryptocurrency space. I mean, he really only got into Bitcoin earlier this year, but he does have a marketing background, so that's where you saw him really start to push, some of these platforms Control Finance, USI Tech, BitConnect, before he really kind of started focusing on BitConnect. Yeah, I think IRS is looking at Bitcoin as capital gains, so it would just be 15%. They're trying to treat it as digital property, and I've seen the same thing. And I've seen some other things that they're trying to overcomplicate things. So, for instance, just to give you an example, when I was with Airbnb, I was managing a property for a property owner, and I called the IRS, and I was trying to ask them about regulations or whatnot on how you were supposed to do this with your how you're supposed to claim things with your Airbnb, and what the IRS didn't know, and they had to go around and ask everyone, and then they came back and told me, okay, well, you need a business license. The property owner needs a business license for that address. you need to do this, you need to do that. It was extremely complicated. And so I went and talked with the property owner about it, and I was like this kind of sounds bullshit, because I don't think anyone on Airbnb is doing this. I think there's probably less than like 0.1% of the Airbnb users are actually going to be getting multiple business filings for properties, for different people, for different entities. They're just trying to make it extremely complex. And so I don't think that you're going to see people really jump through all those hoops when there's really not a definitive ruling on their stance on that. And so I bring that up as an example, because I think you might see the same thing with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because, you know, yes, they may say that, hey, this qualifies as capital gains or whatnot, but what about, you know, this situation? What about that situation? What if it's actually under someone else's name? Like, what, you know, how do you account for all of these different discrepancies? Like, you can't make one blanket statement and really not follow it up. And on top of that, they can't track anything. They have no way of really monitoring things that are going on. They're relying on third-party companies like Chain Analysis to do that for them. And you know, the entire premise of cryptocurrencies to begin with was kind of more of a breaking the financial model of kind of, you know, moving away from this kind of old archaic system that you had in place, and this has kind of become a new phenomenon that has really taken off this year. So I think what you're going to see is 2018, 2019, 2020. Those are going to be big years for government intervention, for taxation regulations, and it's going to dominate a lot of the headlines. I just saw an article that was saying Morocco is now also making Bitcoin transactions illegal. So more countries are coming out either saying they're illegal. Some countries are coming out in support. And I think, you know, right now you're seeing the money flood into the countries with support. And that's a big one. That's a big reason why I think I'm going to be heading to Korea very, very soon, because you're seeing some of the largest exchanges in the world get a lot of support and adoption in those countries. And so if that's essentially what you need to do, you need to move to another country where they're favorable to cryptocurrencies and that sort of thing. It just might be in your best interest to move there for a few years until the regulations and whatnot get sorted out. Joey Rocket, what's going on? I typically don't like to keep these too long. I want to try to cap this at like 40 minutes, so I'm going to stay on for another 2 minutes or so. Short-term capital gains is 30%. Long-term, 1 year or more, is 15%. Okay, good to know, Nathan. Thank you for that. Will you be talking new BCC roadmap soon, and do you have any inside info on it? I think that's going to be something that's going to be discussed here very soon at this meeting coming up in about 2 weeks. I think there's going to be some more information on how they're going to be, some of the different things they're going to be focusing on for 2018. So the big thing they're doing right now is partnerships with merchants and things like that, though I haven't really seen a whole lot. I know there's been a few mentions of some companies that we've seen that are looking to partner with BitConnect, but they want to roll out like retail stores where you're buying with BitConnect coins, you're buying with Bitcoin. Like that's their whole vision. That you're going to have to go to an ATM if you want to spend in fiat. You're going to actually have to go to ATM, put your fiat money in an ATM, and buy Bitcoin so that you can buy something in the store. That's the whole direction they're going. They want to completely break that model. If you're in the United States, do Google search IRS 2014-21. I'm going to do that right now. Thanks, Alan. So here we go. This is a little bit of a statement on cryptocurrencies here. This is Notice 2014-21. It's a PDF from the IRS. You can kind of see right here. So this is their principles as they apply to transactions using virtual currency. So this is going to be a little bit of an in-depth scope on how they're going to handle things. So this might be pretty good. If we come back here, I mean, I just searched for it here, but there's some different information here. So you guys can take a look at this, do a little bit of search, Bitcoin taxation. So this was also pretty old. This is, 3 years ago, looks like, from 2014. So whether or not that really applies, to the current landscape, I mean, I think it was a good initial publishing by the IRS. But however, during those times that those were being published, I think there was only like between 500 and 1,000 people that actually claimed profits and losses in cryptocurrency during the years of 2014, 2015, 2016 probably had a few more. But yeah, 2017, this year that we're in right now, with the amount of new people that have come into the cryptocurrency space and how that's going to impact the tax season moving forward, it'll be really interesting to see. South America's crypto friendly too. I hope so. I would like to spend some time in South America. I've been wanting to go to Peru for a long time. So I think that there might be some interesting opportunities out there, because that's, I think, the one underserved area that I haven't really been mentioning or talking about. We've seen a lot of activity in North America. You've seen it in Europe. You've seen it in Asia. There's been quite a bit of information that's come out of Australia. Not so much in Africa and South America. Those two seem to be a little bit just a little bit different. I think that maybe I don't know enough to really speak on it. All I know is that I think a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing in the news and media recently has kind of been out of some more of the westernized countries, but primarily centered in Asia. Check out Chile. You should check it out. I love it. All right. And Argentina. If you like my music, you can use it in your streams. All right. Yeah, I need to check out a few different music sources. So I'll look into that, Mark Lane. Appreciate that. All right. I think I'm going to call that a stream. So I appreciate you guys staying online. Like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.